Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday. It has been a tumultuous week for Justin Trudeau following the resignation of Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland. Now, Liberal caucus members are increasing the pressure on the Prime Minister to step down. 21 MPs have publicly said they want Trudeau to go.
For his well-being, I think it's time for him to take a leave, and I say that to him as a friend.
The Prime Minister is living in a false reality. He's delusional if he thinks we can continue like this.
Yes, I do believe it's time for the Prime Minister to step down. I appreciate full well that it is his decision.
That pressure ramped up again yesterday during an Ontario Liberal caucus meeting where sources tell CBC News more than 50 Liberal MPs came to the consensus that the Prime Minister needs to step down. Anthony Housefather and Chandra Arya are two of the Liberal MPs calling on Justin Trudeau to resign, and they join me live this morning. Good to see you, gentlemen. Thanks for squeezing me into your Sunday.
Thanks for having us, Rosie.
Appreciate it. Arya, I'm going to start with you because you are, and Chandra Arya, I'm going to start with you because you are, of course, with the Ontario caucus. Were you in the meeting yesterday? And what we are reporting, the 50 or more MPs in that caucus meeting were calling for the Prime Minister to leave. Is that fair to say?
I was in the meeting yesterday. While unfortunately I can't say what transpired in the meeting, but I have written even before yesterday's meeting that, in my opinion, majority of the caucus thinks it's time for Prime Ministers to step aside.
And has the head of the Ontario caucus been tasked with going to the Prime Minister to reflect those views?
I'm sure usually whenever the regional caucus meets, the head of the regional caucus, usually they do report to the national caucus. That is the usual procedure.
Why are you not willing to talk a little more openly about what happened at that meeting, Mr. Arya, given that the stakes are very high? If you believe that the Prime Minister shouldn't be here, why are you not willing to say more about how people are approaching that?
I always upheld the caucus confidentiality. That allows people like me and my colleagues to talk frankly. What happens within the caucus stays within the caucus, but I have told publicly, I have published publicly what exactly I want to, what my intentions are.
Okay, Anthony Housefather, I'll bring you in here. I don't know if the Quebec caucus has had a meeting yet at this stage, or if there are plans for that to happen.
Quebec caucus has met before, and I've made my views very clear at Quebec caucus, just like I have at national caucus, just like I have to the Prime Minister privately, and then at caucus for months now, which is that we're in an impossible situation if he stays, because he will be the ballot issue. We won't be looking at Liberal programs. We won't be looking at anything else. It'll all be a question for voters. Do they want Justin Trudeau to stay Prime Minister? Mm-hmm. I think they've clearly come to a conclusion on that. And as such, in order to offer a positive, different vision to Canadians in the next election, we need a new face, a new leader, and a positive message. And for me, it's a financially prudent, fiscally responsible, socially liberal message that we need to bring to give a distinction between us and the Conservatives.
Do you really think, though, Mr. Housefather, that replacing the leader will improve Liberal fortunes enough to give you a chance of winning?
What I believe is the Liberal Party will do far better in the next election with a different leader. Whether it means we win 40 more seats, 15 more seats, 16 more seats, I'm not going to voice whether or not we will or will not form government. Nobody can know that. What I do know is that far more of my colleagues will be re-elected if we have a different leader at the next election. I hear that from constituents. I hear that from people when I go door to door across the country. I hear that from people when I speak across the country. There are many people that want to vote for their Liberal MP, for the Liberal Party, but don't want to re-elect Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister. And we have to be honest about that. That is clear from all of the polling data that we've had for the last year. There is not one poll that would say the contrary, that we would do better in the election with the current leader. So, I think he's done an exemplary job for Canadians for a long time, but leaders need to know when to make their exit. I think the time was a few months ago at the very latest. But I think now we're at the precipice, and he really needs to make that decision to go for the well-being of the country, the party, and the caucus.
Okay, one issue that did come up in the meeting yesterday, the Ontario caucus meeting, and I'm sure has come up in national caucus as well, is the issue of Donald Trump, who is now less than a month away from taking office. We are facing down that threat of tariffs. And the idea of instability, a leadership race, all those things happening while the country is facing that issue of Donald Trump. I wonder, Chandra, Arya, what you think about that, whether that is a concern for you, that the Liberal Party would have perhaps no leader or be in the midst of a leadership race facing down Donald Trump.
You're right. That is the biggest threat Canadians are facing, the tariff threat from Donald Trump. But that exactly is the reason why we need the leadership change now. And we have to find a mechanism where we will not have a long leadership race, but take immediate steps to replace the current Prime Minister with somebody who has got a good track record of having dealt with Donald Trump, having dealt the previous U.S. administration, U.S. Trump administration previously, and who knows the tools and techniques to adopt to prevent the catastrophe that is facing us with the 25% tariff that is being proposed.
And you think that person is Chrystia Freeland, do you?
Absolutely. She has got the track record of negotiating NAFTA previously, and she knows every person involved in the process. She knows the tools that are available for Canada and Canadians to respond to these threats, and she has managed well. And her personality is also so that she's polite but firm, and she has proven herself before.
You don't mind that the president-elect doesn't like her and has called her toxic? You don't think that's a problem for her?
No, I don't think there's one single politician in Canada whom Donald Trump loves. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have to like the person with whom he is negotiating or his team is negotiating. For us, what is important is that who is the right person for Canada representing us at the negotiation table with Donald Trump or his team.
Anthony Housefather, just on the same issue in terms of facing down Donald Trump, how concerned are you that we are in this position right now and he's less than a month away from taking office?
Well, I mean, again, I think the issue with the Americans are our closest allies. I said in the executive of the Canada-U.S. Friendship Group, I have a lot of friends in Congress on both sides of the aisle. And our relationship with the United States is probably the most important issue out there right now, other than affordability. But I don't think one thing has to do with the other. The caucus can elect an interim leader in a day if we wanted to, while we wait for a new leader, if Justin Trudeau decides to step down immediately versus stay until a new leader is selected. I don't think this is an issue at all. We have a very competent team in cabinet, in caucus. There are many aspiring candidates for leader who would do an excellent job in negotiating with Donald Trump. I think the real issue is a politically wounded prime minister at this point is not the strongest person to negotiate with Trump. We need the prime minister to go now so we can set forth a leadership process. And that to me is the quickest issue. He needs to do that.
And have you already endorsed? Are you willing to endorse someone yet, Anthony Housefather? Have you thought about that?
To me, that's not the issue right now at hand. The issue right now at hand is the Prime Minister needs to go. There's some excellent candidates out there, and I have huge respect for several of the people that will run. But right now, I'm not going to go in that direction. The real issue right now is we need the opening to exist.
Have you been approached? Have people been calling you and saying, hey, if we get to this stage, I'd like you to help me. I'd like you to organize for me.
There are always discussions going on, but I don't think that has evolved in any measure because everybody is waiting right now for the Prime Minister to make that announcement. I think it is very clear what Chandra said before. Yeah. I don't speak to people in caucus anymore. I see very few people that think he should stay. The vast majority of people I am talking to, whether they've gone public or not, believe he needs to go. And I think that's where to show, again, leadership, to leave with class, to leave with dignity. I think he really needs to make that announcement soon.
Okay, I'll just end with one quick question for you, Chandra, Arya, and that is, as recently as this week, you said publicly you were supporting the Prime Minister. I'm not sure I understand what changed so dramatically for you.
Two things changed. One, Christopher exit from the caucus, that was a pivotal moment. But more importantly, NDP announced that they are going to support a no confidence motion against the Prime Minister. So the die is cast with the Conservatives, Bloc Québécois, and the NDP all saying that they're going to vote down the current Prime Minister. So there's no alternative but to have the leadership change now.
Understood. Anthony Housefather, Chandra, Arya, thank you for joining me. I know you're back in your ridings and trying to maybe have a little downtime yourselves. I appreciate you making the time this Sunday. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you, Rosie.
Thank you. Thanks so much.